I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want to be a homeowner. And I don't think that I want to be a mother. And the reason I'm sharing that with you today is because I want you to remember that what you value and what I value can be completely different things. And actually, that's more than okay. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm bored of trying to live out society's expectations. It's exhausting. And as America Ferrera said in her Barbie speech, even when we're trying to do everything all at once, it never feels like we're actually doing enough. I used to think climbing the career ladder was successful. I used to think earning more, making more, doing more was the thing that I valued. It was the key to my success. But then I realized that I actually didn't make up this myself. This was a mindset that was placed on me. These were someone else's beliefs. Actually, the thing that I value the most is freedom. Like many people, I really bought into the rat race, thinking that I needed to do what everybody else was doing in order to be happy. But when I thought about what I had to sacrifice to live up to society's expectations, I started to question whether any of it was what I even wanted in the first place. My sister has been a huge inspiration to this mindset reshift. She left a high-paying job in the insurance industry to go work in the mental health industry on an entry-level salary, because she realized her version of wealth was time. Now, this decision changed her entire life trajectory and her future plans. And when I asked her, do you ever worry about falling behind? Is this something you ever worry about? She said, I feel the exact opposite. She said, when I was working in insurance, I was always living for the future. I tell myself that everything would be okay when I get to this point. But even when she reached those points, she still wasn't happy. So when she made the decision to let go of society's expectations and the future milestones that they had placed on her, she said, what actually happens is you start to live every day as it comes. Rather than thinking that your happiness can only be reached when you hit a certain criteria, she said that you realize happiness is possible in the present moment. You actually free up more of your mind because you're no longer persevering with this future vision of yourself that you may not have even wanted. You free up yourself to live in the moment and to really enjoy all of those little things that make up what we call life. It sounds cliche to say, but she did say to me that the journey really is more enjoyable than the end point. Now, she did also remind me that when you choose to go down a different path, people don't always like it. They struggle with that. In fact, they may even call you crazy and mad like they called my sister. But if being true to yourself and what you value is crazy and mad, well, guess what? I'm happy to take those labels. The reason I'm sharing all of this with you today is because you have the right to invest in what's important to you. Other people's discomfort is not your problem, and it should not be your priority. And you shouldn't feel shamed into making decisions to please other people. You need to make the right decisions for yourself. Last year, when my landlord came knocking on my door to say I had to leave the apartment because they wanted to increase my rent, I decided to use that as a sign to live out my Emily in Paris dream. I packed my bags and I moved to Paris instead of saving for a mortgage or looking for a cost-effective way to live. This financial year, I'm not going to make as much money as I made last year. And although I know some people may look at that and think that that's a regression, I look at last year as one of the happiest years of my life. And at Christmas, when my 3 best friends called me to say they were all pregnant at the same time, I didn't go into doubt or fear or worry that I was being left behind. I felt nothing but genuine joy and excitement for their next chapter. And I can share all of this because I regularly spend time evaluating what is important to me. And I do this by reflecting on 3 questions that I want you all to reflect on. What brings me joy? What makes sense of my life ambitions? And what would I regret not doing? These questions help me to stay true to myself. They help me make decisions and stay on track with those decisions. And they help me to block out the noise of what I'm meant to be doing. Now, I know these questions can feel intimidating and they can feel daunting, especially if you can't think of the answer straight away. So, if you need to reframe them, I'd encourage you to answer these questions. What doesn't currently bring you joy in your life? What's holding you back from living the life that you want to live? And what do I already regret not doing? Because let's face it, it's easier to pick out the flaws and faults in life than it is to plan for the future sometimes. And the reason I ask you to consider regret in particular is because I meet so many women in their later life who tell me they wish they hadn't wasted time on things that weren't important to them. One of my favorite authors is Daniel Pink, and he wrote the book, The Power of Regrets. And in that book, he believes that we should stop saying #no regrets. Instead, we should look at our regrets as the blueprint to our futures. After years of studying regrets, one of the biggest regrets people have is boldness regret. Wishing they'd have spoken up, done more, and lived more boldly. And I don't ever want you to have boldness regret. These questions that I've shared with you today have helped me reframe my thinking. So instead of telling myself I need to do more or I should earn more, I've started saying to myself, if this is the only thing I do, I am so proud. And instead of telling myself that I can't do something and making up excuses of why it won't work, I've started to action things I've been wanting to action for a long time. And instead of following what everyone else is doing, I'm actually starting to carve out a direction for me that doesn't require anybody else to be involved. So whilst you sit and listen to all the incredible speakers and insights that are going to be shared today, I want you to keep coming back to the question, what do I value the most? Even if that means going against the grain, what do I value the most? And if it ends up being that buying designer handbags because a mortgage seems far less feasible right now is what you want to value, you do that. Or if you want to spend £50 a month on development books because that's your version of growth, then you enjoy that. Or if just getting to the end of the week and buy an expensive bottle of wine doesn't break your bank, well, just enjoy that. And if you decide that having listened to everything today, the values that you've been measuring aren't currently serving you, it's also okay to change things. It is never too late to change things. It shouldn't matter how much time you put in already. What matters is, what does your happiness look like if you stay in the current situation? I want you to avoid looking back in years to come and saying, is this it? So what I hope you take away from my speech today is that there is no right or wrong. You can write your own rules, and you don't have to settle with what's expected of you. Spend time reflecting on these questions. Don't let other people tell you what to value. And have the confidence and the courage to define what you value in life. Thank you.